Okay, so I am a part of the Disney Vikings group for Edmonton Expo, and I just thought I would document some of my costume making process. Okay, so this is what I have so far for the outfit, and my skirt's over here. I'll insert a picture of me wearing it. Anyway, so I just took fabric that I had lying around from the Jasmine I did last year for Edmonton Expo, and I glued it to a bra that I no longer have use for. Anyway, so it's not finished yet, but so I just took it, hot glued it. Still need to do something about this. And I just took like a long strip of fabric and hemmed it and sewed it to where I wanted it to fall for Jasmine's like weird sleeve thingies. I'm glad I didn't cut this off yet because I sewed it too tight. So it's supposed to be kind of loose. So I did that, and then I took some white fur I also had and just glued it to the inside here and the bottom. And I actually made this like, oh Jesus, I made this weird like hip belt thingy for my Armored Glaceon cosplay. So that's why it's kind of a different fabric, but essentially what I did was just measured around the hip area, and then I cut it out on 2 pieces of fabric and sewed them together, and then right side together, sewed them together, flipped them around, and then added some fur to the edges. I think I took the more complicated route to do this, but anyway, so I thought it would be kind of cute for the Jasmine cosplay. And then for the skirt, all I did was measure like the waist measurements and about how long I wanted it, and then just cut around that. I ended up making it way too big, and I didn't make it, yeah, so I had to cut a lot off, but that's okay. Because I wanted it to kind of like narrow down as it goes down. I don't know, not really making sense here, but anyway, so now I'm going to move on to the shield. I have my EVA foam, and we're going to be using both, well, a few different tutorials I saw was Punished Props, another guy whose name I cannot remember for the life of me, and Breezy Wheezy. She's awesome. She's also in the Disney Vikings group. So yeah, I'm going to get on to that. Thank you for watching me. So what I did was, you can use paper for this or string, but I just used a piece of foam I had lying around, poked a hole with a pen, and then poked another hole around 25 centimeters away from the other hole, and then stuck the first pen hole in the center of the EVA floor mat, and then just moved around in a circle with the Sharpie. So I did that 2 times, and then I cut it out, and I cut out the slits for the straps on the rough side of one of the pieces of EVA, and then I just glued elastic through it and glued it onto the rough side so that the strap was on the like smooth, nice side of the EVA. So next what I did was I marked out in Sharpie 3 lines down the shield like wood planks, and then I drew out the wood grain and like the little knots that would be in the wood, and then I cut through slightly with the X-Acto knife, and I cut through the designs and then heated them up with the heat gun so that they would expand and look deeper and more realistic. You can use a soldering iron, or I think what are they called, like a wood burner, but I don't have either of those things. So yeah, so this is just me cutting it out. I would have recorded more video of the whole process, but I was really lazy, so I only have video of certain parts. So next what I did, I sanded the rough sides a little bit and then glued them together just so they would have something to stick to a little better. So that was glued together, and it gave some extra like strength so that my straps wouldn't come off because they were like glued together twice. So next I dremeled the edges because they were uneven, and I kind of beveled them, but you don't really have to do that if you're going to cover the sides like I did. After I dremeled the sides and the pieces were glued together, I cut out strips of just normal regular craft foam and glued them on the sides and then glued them down. that probably doesn't make sense, but I'll show you in a second. And then all the other girls were doing like themes for like the little centerpiece of the shield, so I drew out a genie lamp and cut that out on craft foam. I was originally going to do the Agrabah castle or the tiger, but I was like, I don't think I can make that look good. So here's what it looked like. As you can see, the trim is not very even, but that's okay. And then I took googly eyes and glued them on top of the trim to look like grommets or whatever they're called, those little like thingies. And then I primed it with Mod Podge. I did one layer on each side, and normally I'd use Plasti Dip, but I just was really lazy and I didn't want to kind of waste my Plasti Dip on this because it's expensive and I prefer to use it for like bigger armor builds. So yeah, that's what it looked like, and the one layer of Mod Podge worked okay. Like, it was still kind of patchy with the paint, as you can see here. This is the first layer of paint. This is it drying, but like it's a little bit patchy, so I went over certain places a couple times with the brown. But basically I just painted the whole thing brown except for well, I tried to not paint the little googly eyes. And then waited for that to dry, and then I went in with the gold color. So this is what it looked like when it was all dry. It's more of like a matte finish, which I'm fine with because it was a little bit rough here and there, but it worked because it's supposed to kind of look like wood and have some texture. So then I went in with the gold on the trim and for the genie lamp. And then I painted those like grommet thingies blue to match the rest of the costume. And normally I would seal this, but I wasn't packing it away or anything, and I knew that it wasn't going to be like rubbing up against anything, so the paint wouldn't come off or anything. But normally I would suggest sealing your paint. Hopefully I covered everything, and if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.